Hey
Welcome.
everybody. Hey, who's saying welcome? You, me.
I don't know. This is weird because I feel like I'm saying it to you, but
Yeah,
at the
this
same
is the
time, I'm
weirdest.
also trying to say it to everyone, and I have nowhere else to look.
We
So
didn't expect to ever do the Monday meeting from home / on my bed.
no.
But yeah, this is, a new world calls for new approaches. So welcome everybody to the Monday meeting, the very work from home remote Monday meeting. Yeah, we're going to follow the same format, but
Yeah, a similar format as best as we
professional
possibly
mind.
can. Yeah. I think we're going to try and keep it the same. Obviously,
You're like legit. I've got headphones.
I'm legit.
and
I know. I am quite proud of myself.
You look
So
like
I've
Chris
had this,
Evans right
not
now.
only have I got like a actual like mic, albeit it cost me like a tenner off Amazon. It's also like clamped onto this unit next to me, so it's all like proper setup.
Too legit.
Like
Everybody's seen the work from home
it's
setup
just I'm a
upstairs,
podcast
isn't
waiting
it?
to happen.
Oh dear God.
I can't do anything else.
Wow.
No way.
Um,
Yeah, no. Here we
so
are.
what's been going on? Here we are. What's been
So
going on
what's
apart
happened?
from the end of the
Well,
world? What's been happening?
yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
It's not. Let's stay optimistic.
Positivity as best as we can. So normally we do a bit about what we did over the weekend, but
Yeah,
obviously
what'd you do?
our weekends were a bit different. So I obviously like staying home as much as feasibly possible, and decided to take up a web developer course.
Nice.
So that I could start to understand
Justify your
web developer life.
that you're a
Yeah,
developer.
essentially, I'm trying to justify my claim.
Yeah.
But also, like, I feel like it's a very useful skill to like learn, and at the moment when I can't do much else with my free time, it feels good to be doing something that has like personal development, and like it's something that I will be able to come away from this and be like, I actually learned something and did something valuable with my time. And that isn't to say that people that don't want to do that sort of thing is like a bad thing, but like for me, that's something that I personally wanted to be able to do, and helps to keep me like sane.
Yeah, it's all the things that you wish you had time to do, or you wish you were at home for, but you get
exactly. Now I have the time, so that's great. So I spent most of my day yesterday doing that, and then I didn't really do much else on Saturday. Went out for a bit of a walk, but by myself. But that was about it. How about you? I know that you did a what looked quite fun actually.
Yeah, it was actually really fun. So did a Zoom conference call with friends.
How was getting your friends set up on Zoom? How did that go?
That was cool. They all downloaded it, sent them a link, they joined. It was good.
Nice. That sounds so straightforward.
There is supposedly a social network now called House Party that somebody bought last year and have invested in, but it's basically Zoom, but it's like a social network via video, and it has slightly more fun features. So I might try that next time. But yeah, it was fun. We had a good chat. We had a couple of glasses of wine or a bottle of.
That's the problem when you're drinking by yourself, right?
Yeah,
is that you
but it was way cheaper.
Well, yes, you didn't have to go out.
And it was good. Yeah, it suits me perfectly. I'm like, don't have to go out, but still get to socialize. It's the perfect life for me. We did a quiz, or we attempted a quiz. We did like word association game, which we call famous names of. And usually you sit in a circle and you go famous names of to my left or right. That is so difficult to organize on Zoom because everybody's in different windows on different screens on different devices. So we all had to write a list of who was to go next and remember who was above and below you. and that was a logistical nightmare. So safe to say we did like
stress.
One game of that. Then it kind of turned into karaoke. And I think everybody kind of failed just before that finished. So yeah, did that and a lot of gaming basically, but no guilty gaming because it's something safe to do while socializing. So that was it.
Nice.
Although, according to, so I saw something, this is going to like sneak into my topical bits of the week.
Do it. Do that subtle transition.
So many windows open. Jeez.
I'm all prepped. I don't even need to touch my laptop. I'm so organized.
It's like four browser windows. I don't know what's going on. One's just got honey.com on it. Anyway, was it honey.com? You know, the money saving thing. I think because I ordered the Domino's last week, it's still there from there. Anyway, there's a problem that people didn't realize was actually going to be a thing called Zoom bombing, where people find out about publicly accessible Zoom calls. So this is something we're going to have to think about if we're doing virtual.
Okay. People are jumping on our Monday meeting that we're doing.
Exactly. Zoom calls, like if we were to do like virtual events or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and gives people the ability to join that, but their screen, obviously, and their screen can contain whatever they want it to contain.
Mm-hmm.
So people are joining things and like serious group calls that they just so happen to find the link of online, and streaming, you know, unsavory content whilst
Oh
people are
gosh.
doing stuff. So definitely something to consider and think about if people are doing that.
Yeah, like
Just
the
never
privacy
really thought it'd be a
sensory
thing.
kind of elements of it. Yeah, but you
100%.
wouldn't. Normally, that people there wouldn't be much incentive, but now there's just so many Zoom conference calls happening all
Yeah,
the time. Like,
you just Google it, and I'm sure
yeah,
you'll
you'll be
find
able to find
more.
something, and there's.
But at the same time, there are like funny versions of that. So the tweet, I think I did a tweet like in the last 24 hours where the first example of what I thought might happen anyway has happened, where someone on a work conference call basically forgot that she had a video on, and I don't think it's staged. It doesn't look staged. Everybody looks genuinely shocked. Puts her laptop down in the toilet while she proceeds to go for a
I've been
wee.
told about this.
Yeah. And then suddenly realizes and like pushes it out of the way, and everybody
Oh
else
my
is like,
gosh.
"Oh my god, what just
Yeah,
happened?"
you'd die. I'd be so embarrassed. I was
I
like,
don't think
oh,
I could go back to work ever again. I'm
no, I don't
permanently
think
work
you
from home
could.
now. That's
You
it.
could just working from home, never having the video on.
Always, always.
Permanently off. Yeah, no, that's quite a traumatic experience. I feel like lots of people are going through a very like intense learning curve when it comes to video
Yeah,
conferencing at the moment.
yeah. But then
And
there is that situation where people are realizing like the meeting that didn't need to be a meeting and could have been a call, could have been a call. I'm wondering, and this was going to be my my question for you this week, which was like, how do you think this is going to affect the way that we work, not as a company but as a society going forwards? Do you think there's going to be any fundamental change? Do you think it's like it depends on how long this lasts and therefore how much of a habit it creates? Like, what are your views?
I think right now that's a very difficult question to answer, just because we don't know the length and the scope of how long this is going to go on for. Like this, and the kind of like measures that are going to be in place for like different lengths of time. Like we're looking at probably like the next year and a half of having some kind of it still having some influence over our lives, whether that's still being encouraged to work from home or whatever that looks like. And fundamentally that's going to be something that some people choose to like not come back from. Like, if you function really well in this environment, then why would you choose to buy a desk but like or an office or whatever? I can imagine for a lot of people it's going to make them really think. But I also think on the flip side of that, it's going to really reinforce the importance of kind of like human physical connection as well at the same time. I think a lot of people are going to really value being able to connect like on an actual physical basis more.
Agree.
Because of this, because people are going to be craving the social interaction, but how those social interactions are is going to be really different, because I can't really imagine going and shaking someone's hand in the next like year.
Yeah,
So how that's
everyone's
going
just going to need a really big hug after this.
Yeah, but no one's going to want to give a hug.
Group
So
hug, world group hug.
like virtual hugs.
But you can send a virtual hug just with 3Gs, and it's a coffee, and they're based in Bristol, so you can do that.
Very, very true. But I also do think that in terms of like from the technology perspective, over the next couple of like weeks and months, we're going to probably see some really interesting things pop up that help solve some of the problems that people are facing at the moment with regards to working remotely, teams working remotely, or on an individual level, like personal life stuff and socializing and interacting. And I think from that perspective, this situation is going to massively push on a lot of tech and
it's going to force
software and hardware stuff that could be really, really cool. Especially when you think of like VR and AR and anything like that. Like this space, this situation is crying out for more of that kind of tech at the moment. And I do think that there's a lot of opportunity there in those sectors right now. But yeah, I think that to know exactly what the impact is going to be is really, really hard, because it's really depends on what happens over the next like 3, 6, 12 months, and and no one really knows right now. I mean, as I was saying, we were saying earlier on, like I definitely feel like I've been more productive working at home over the past week. Like,
which is a surprise, because obviously you're like anti work from home.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm anti work from home generally is because I don't like it. I know I'm more productive doing it.
Why?
I'm definitely more productive doing it. I feel very isolated being here. I like my walking to work. I like being able to have random chats with people. Um, and the kind of like the looming sense of not knowing how long this is going to be for as well kind of adds to that. So even though I've been more productive, I kind of find that I'm working because I have literally not a lot else to do, and so it fills my time and it helps the day go
Yeah.
by. It's become part of my routine.
But you also need to make sure there's downtime of
Yeah, exactly. And like I've tried to create like a separate space in my like flat where I can kind of work and then not
that's your
work, but
office,
they're all in
yeah.
the same room. So it's quite hard to have that like separation. And I think in the long run, I think it'll become more challenging and probably will have an impact on my productivity. You know, we're only a week in right now. It's kind of hard to say what the long term like effect of that's going to be, but yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. And as I was saying, my desk has evolved since last week. In a week, it's kind of like elaborately like grown out.
Oh my
And there's
God.
so much more stuff.
Just visioning this meeting in like 4 weeks. You got like full mic with like a distiller.
I was going to get a thing over the
yeah, the sound diffuser. It's going to be like on a thing. You're going to look like Joe Rogan basically, and I'm just
it's going to be a proper. I mean, if we're in this for the long haul, I might as well commit. Like,
fair.
But yeah, so that's
what else is happening? Any good things, bad things topically for you?
I kind of want to bring up the kind of different kinds of support that we've been seeing from both within like our community and also like the wider ecosystem. And the things that people are doing to help support specifically, particularly like startups and founders,
and the right ways and wrong ways of doing
freelancers, like through this time. Yeah. So I'll do a kind of overview of the ones I've seen first, then we can talk about.
Cool. What have you seen?
Doing it. So in terms of like the wider ecosystem, we've seen the Facebook announce like $100 million small business fund that'll be a mix of grants and free ad spend that they're going to split across like 30 countries. I think it's ridiculous, like 30,000 businesses or something that are going to be able to access money through it. So there's not really a timeline on that yet, but that looks really cool. And it was a great initiative to see. We saw the creator fund that was done by ConvertKit, which was, I think, was a $50,000
yeah, it was started at that, but it's like way more.
It's probably gone up now. Yeah. That was essentially to help creatives on more of a personal basis. So to help them with their living costs, like their rent, and covering like daily, expenses, as opposed to kind of business costs. We saw there's this whole website at the moment called like softwaredonation.org, because obviously we've seen like a massive rise in people offering free trials, like Zoom are doing, like, you can get like 30 days free for video conferencing and all sorts of different things. Anything that essentially is useful for remote working is pretty much offering a deal right now. And this website kind of collates all them together. So if you want to find any kind of like free software tools at the moment, that's a great place to start. And then also the other one we saw was MakerPad as well, because we saw that they were trying to showcase different freelancers and the work that they're doing, essentially using their platform to advertise people's services at the moment, because so many self-employed people have been put out of work because of what's happening. So
Marvel app are doing that as well.
So that's really cool. And then in terms of like stuff from within the community itself, we saw Create and Adapt do their like still hiring campaign, where they've got like a whole I think it's a platform like set up just to showcase people.
Google Sheet thing, basically.
It's for places that are still hiring right now. Then My Cloud Coach are like an educational platform, and they've released all of the content on their platform for free to help parents and teachers who are trying to support kids remotely to be able to access all the kind of resources on there. And
Warren's doing an SEO review. He's just in Italy, and he's just trying to get people into a good position so that when this is over, everybody is kind of set up and ready to go for when people are back searching for things to do or look for or engage with on the internet. So really
And
cool.
then there's I saw Ben Roberts is doing
Hmm.
like 3 hours of free marketing support, and
Hmm.
yeah, there's lots of kind of goodwill going around right now, and there'll be more of it. And I think I'm probably going to write a blog on the ones that we've seen from within the community over the kind of the next couple of weeks as we see more things come out.
I think
But
the
yeah,
important thing is that it's just like, because obviously there are right ways and wrong ways to do this, right?
yeah,
Of
for
course,
sure.
like the world of Twitter is talking about how this is potentially just really cheap lead gen for people,
Yes, for
putting out
sure.
like, half-ass campaigns and just saying, hey, look, you can get all this stuff for free, or here's a trial or whatever, and all it's doing is just kind of being slightly predatory. And I think there is a line to be drawn. I think the best way, from like an advisory point of view for brands, I think, from my point of view personally, I think the best way to do it is to do it in the most genuine way possible. Like,
Sure.
make things happen without conditions. So
Mm,
like the Facebook fund, it's, I mean, always you're suspicious of it because it's Facebook anyway,
mm,
right, by default. But then the fact that some of it is ad spend, you're like, okay, I can see this is a commercial angle. However, the fact that it's $100 million and a good chunk of that is going to be cash, then you
mm,
start going, well, depending on the terms attached to that cash, if it's just like, here's some cash, that sounds great. Like the creative fund is actually up to, I was Googling it just while we were chatting,
yeah.
$154,000
Wow. It's
now.
tripled in the past week.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of money, and their aim is, we're going to give you $500. You can use it on whatever you want. It will be via application, but it will be to you to be used in the most responsible way that you see possible.
Mm,
And so that's great, because it's just like, yes, it's cash, and so there aren't any conditions, which sounds a little bit loose and people might spend it in the wrong way. But as a company, they're building massive brand advocacy. So even by doing the most genuine and considerate thing possible,
mm,
they're actually probably gaining in a greater way than if you attach conditions to it.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be the advice that I would go to brands with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, I kind of get it from a lead gen perspective, and I've got like nothing against that as long as it's done in the right way. And like you said,
Mm,
with no conditions being attached. And it's like, I recognize that a lot of people are looking for work right now, and they're willing to do more stuff in order to be able to find that work. And like, like people are in very difficult positions. So I respect that. But yeah, it's about making sure it's still genuine and that you're not seeming, kind of like predatory
yeah,
as you do it, and not selling to people, because ultimately the people that you're supporting are probably having a difficult time too, and
yeah, exactly. People
they don't
shouldn't
want to
be
be sold to right
they
now.
shouldn't be profiteering off of people's vulnerability. That's the
Mm,
important thing,
yes,
I
for
think.
sure.
So, and I think that's visible to most people. You can see it, but the important thing is the brand recognizes that people aren't stupid, and
Mm,
that they have to do things in the right way. You shouldn't be around a
yeah,
boardroom table going, "How do we make money off of this?" You should be
no.
around a boardroom table going, "How do we help people in their time of need?" And that's a
Mm,
really important thing. So, on that note, though, and I'm going to come back to something that I've seen in the last week from people topically that's just
mhm,
bugged me. But talking about people helping people, and things that are happening to try and help people that are in a vulnerable
mhm.
position, is probably the perfect time to talk about the thing that we're doing right now, right? Um,
Yes.
so, for those of you who may have seen it already, we have announced that we are crowdfunding a small amount of money. It's £4,300 GBP. And that is to literally just cover our costs for 3 months of our core membership subscription, so that we can make it, if we raise this, if we don't raise this amount of money, then we don't do it, because the business can't afford to do it. We've still got our own bills to pay. But if we can raise that amount of money, it allows us to make the core membership of our current members free. So everyone who's currently paying us £9 a month, or thereabouts, that's free. And anybody who needs it, the support that we provide, i.e. the community, the tools, the resources, everything that we do, it makes it free for anyone else that wants to have access to that for 3 months. Yes, at some point in the future, they may re-sign up, they may continue to become a member after those 3 months, if it does go back to being paid, when it goes back to being paid. But the important thing for us is that we do what our mission is described as, which is democratizing access to entrepreneurial opportunities and support. And we make sure that's available to everybody when they need it. And right now they need it more than most. So yeah, that's happening now. It's already live. We've got how many days? 11 days left to try and hit
Yeah,
that
it's
target.
until a week on Friday.
We
So,
got a big shout out to Ellie Webb, one of our
millennia.
members at Colenio Drinks, not only for creating an amazing drink that's keeping me, it's not even alcoholic, but it's still keeping me sane whilst we're locked indoors quite often. But also for generously donating £250 as the first amount of money towards what we're doing. So we're on our way, and obviously anybody listening to this that feels like they want to support, that can't give a huge amount of money, that's fine.
From
£10
£10
is
and up.
fine.
Exactly.
But even if you can, share it with other people that might be able to. There are big businesses out there that are okay. They're not in dire straits, some of them. But we're trying to help people that are closer to the breadline. And so that's where we sit. So worth mentioning that. And that's hopefully our wholesome edge. Have I missed anything there? I just want to make sure you've
No, I don't think so. I'm excited about it. Like it feels like we kind of spent most of last week trying to work out what the best thing to do was. We knew that right now people are looking for community and support even more than normal, because they're trying to reach out and most also because they're isolated, but also because things are challenging, and we know that we can support people with that. So trying to find the best kind of like vehicle to deliver that value to people was like something that we wrestled with for most of last week.
It was tough to figure out.
We were uncertain as to how best to deliver it, but I think
without seeming disingenuous.
Yeah, exactly. Because as all the things we were saying before about not wanting to see like seem predatory and like that, that's not our intention whatsoever. Like we're really keen to help people and support our members and other people who don't currently access that like through this period, and at the very least over the next 3 months, and we'd love to do it for longer. So yeah. So if I don't think you've missed anything, I think it just goes saying that like this is our way of kind of like trying to do something. So
we got to do something. Like, it's the classic Spider-Man quote: "Great power, great responsibility," and all that. We're in the middle of an ecosystem, and we are one ourselves, hopefully. And so we have a responsibility to do something. And this
exactly
after all that conversation and head bashing, it was like, this seems like the best thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But
there's some other stuff. There's other
more
stuff
of a comedic. We're doing other stuff. What are we doing?
You were just going down the other stuff line, but if you want to do your comedic thing, you can lighten the mood.
So it's just like there's so much good stuff coming out of this. This is great, like you said, lots of innovation, and we're doing, trying to make the membership free and all of those things. But one thing that's doing my head in at the moment, aside from this really bad headache I've currently got, but might be caused by this, which is everybody is sending an email newsletter that looks exactly the same. And I don't know who's creating a template that people can go, "Dear customers, here's what we're doing about COVID-19. Like, I get that there's probably a legal responsibility to do that, but there are better ways from a communications and tone of voice to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
it's like having the same email come into your inbox like 5
why can't we just all agree to just add everybody's logo onto the same email and send that to everyone in the country? It's like just a blanket, really Banksy way of doing things. It's like a white labeled email that says, an email from every company you've probably ever dealt with. Here's how we're probably dealing with COVID-19. And then just covering it. I'd be okay with that. But getting 5 a day from different companies, most of which I haven't spoken to or engaged with in like 5 years, is like, ironically, the first time where GDPR hasn't even been considered, because it's like there is genuine interest. I get it, there's genuine interest in my own health and safety, but I haven't bought that one thing from you for 5 years. Like, I'm not gonna. So
I do find it funny. Like it does remind me of the time when GDPR was coming in, and you used to get emails from like the most random of companies that you had no idea you'd even like ever. They had no reason for ever having your email address, or like if they did, it was from like 10 years ago. And it's a very similar kind of situation to that, where I'm getting the most random stuff from people, and I'm just like, how do you even have my contact information? Like, I don't know, but
crazy.
Yeah, it's a frustrating.
All I know is that people are just going to be getting, more and more, more and more like unsubscribes during this time if they do treat it in the wrong way. That's why our email newsletter went out, but it was about, hey, here's some value we can provide you, and that's the important thing. So
for sure. I wouldn't ever send out an email just for the sake of like doing a notice.
Here's our policy. Crazy. So public service announcement: stop sending me emails about coronavirus. I get it. I've watched the news. I've got 14 other emails that day from people about the same thing. do something different. That's the challenge. And then I'll open it. Otherwise, it's just going straight to spam, or not spam, but at least being deleted. So that's that. But yeah, so that's all the topical stuff. What's going on work-wise? What's happening?
What's going on? Well,
have you got topical stuff?
No. Happy to move on. Like, as we said, like last week was a bit of a blur in terms of, so we took the decision as we kind of like alluded to last Monday, we took the decision to obviously cancel our meetups for like the foreseeable future. We've kind of said the end of April, but we're going to review on a case by case basis, and realistically that will probably be extended until kind of as and when kind of different hosts decide that that's the right thing to go ahead. But that does mean, because obviously so much of my work is normally around kind of helping support that side of the business, that I've had a significant chunk of my time freed up, which means we've been able to kind of do some quite cool things in a fairly short space of time. So the kind of on the meetup side of things first, so we are planning on running a couple of kind of digital based events over the coming months, which I'm really excited about. So
cool.
Firstly, we're planning on doing like a digital version of our Rebel meetups. There'll be a fireside chat still, and there'll be kind of opportunities to mingle with other people in the room, and that will also be a way for us to bring together our community from all over the world, and not just within the kind of specific city that you're based in. So hopefully that will probably be happening within the first week of April, I think. And there'll be details of that going live soon. So
nice.
So that's super exciting. And I'm kind of excited to try it in a different format and see how it goes. It's going to be weird and maybe a bit challenging, but at the same time, I think it could be quite cool. And, a different way to engage people and hopefully help people with a bit of like social interaction and stuff for the time being, when maybe they're not getting as much as they normally do. So that is one of the things that we're working on. We're also I don't know if to go into too much detail about this, because I want to talk about my like fun marketing campaign that I came up with last week.
Well, it's up to you whether you want to drop
what happens. Maybe I should drop. I'm not going to talk about it.
No, just allude to it.
I don't want to
get excited.
So we've also got kind of plans in the work for a like virtual.
You said it. You
no,
just,
but I
just said you were going to announce it.
No, the best part of it is the campaign around it. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
But that's kind of something we're working on in the background. There'll be more stuff to do with that soon.
Sure.
I'm really excited.
You do realise I'm going to edit this and post and bleep out what you just said.
Oh, you actually
swear over your face. 100%.
Actually, that's such a good idea. So we're working on that, and the kind of the main thing that we did last week, and what the part of the focus alongside the crowdfunding stuff this week is we launched a new service that we're kind of beta testing at the moment with our members. So that's this essentially we kind of pride ourselves for the quality of the introductions that we can do. And me and Ash have spoken about this a lot. We kind of have a strong belief that there is a way to do perfect introductions to other people, and it's based on kind of like these like set pre-filtered criteria that normally go through our heads when we're doing it. And so we're like beta testing a more kind of a digital form of that service. Essentially, it doesn't revolve around our heads, but is done through people giving us information and us matching them based on that. So at the moment we're trialing that with our members, and they'll be matched up this week, which is really, really cool and exciting. And then hopefully in the next kind of couple of weeks we'll be also spinning that out to the public as well.
I think it's important to say that the reason we're doing that is because we want to make sure that in a time when people can't physically come together, they can still be connected, and even not off their own back, but it's our responsibility to try and help connect them, because obviously we're a network at the end of the day. And so we have lots of theory around how and why and what makes the perfect introduction, like you said, and we spent a long time kind of delving into that. And it is algorithmic, and we won't talk about the algorithm because someone might steal it, but it's the important thing is that it's a personal connection that's done. And like you said, we do it all the time, constantly, and we do it better than most. Humbly, it's just something that people recognize us as being really good at. And so it's about making sure that hey, you're stuck at home at the moment, you can't meet people. What if somebody was able to connect you to other people that were ideal for you at that time, from a supply chain point of view, personality point of view, sector point of view, etc., etc. There are lots of different variables that go into it, but yeah, curious to see what happens. Yeah, we're trying it with members, right, and then we're doing it
Yeah.
maybe externally, depending on how well that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, excited to do that. There's gonna be a lot of emails being sent.
Yeah, and a
But
lot
I've
of
got no meeting,
tracking and
so weigh it
um,
up.
there you go. More time for actual work.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. And as you said, like the main reason why I pushed for us to do it so quickly was because, as I have kind of alluded to, like I've got anxiety, and like at the moment it's definitely more intense. And I think a lot of people will understand that because of the uncertainty of the current situation. And for me personally, how I kind of manage that is getting out of my own head. And one of the ways to get out of my own head is to have conversations with random people who I don't know, because it forces you to focus on something else. And I'm really keen to kind of, beyond just the matching process that we're going to be doing around like challenges and skills and that sort of thing, also just giving people the opportunity to talk to someone new at the moment when it's really difficult to meet people. So I think that's kind of a big part of it, and one of the reasons I'm really keen for it to go ahead. So yes, that's happening this week, which is exciting.
Nice.
But that's kind of my main focus, really. That between that and the crowdfunding, that's kind of, that is essentially what I'm working on pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It's not going to be lots of different things this week. It's going to be like a couple of really chunky bits on one or two things rather than lots of different things. Same for me, I think, and it'll be on the same stuff really. We've got to-dos from last week to continue on with. I've got doing a little video call with James from Go Squared later on today, nice. Because they're quite remote and they've got really lovely, from their photos, work from home setup. So just because I think they've done it for a little while now. So yeah, we caught up over email last week, and I just said, hey, look, it'd be good to get some core solid tips from you, because obviously I think the thing that this, silver linings and optimism, I think the thing that this isolation is going to allow us to focus on is doubling down on content and educational pieces for the vision part of the website, which in the long term may well become a chunkier part of what we do based on increased quality and quantity too. So yeah, this is kind of like a practice. It'll be fairly MVP, or it'll be mostly over Zoom and so on, but it'll be nice to get some views to be able to share with the community, give them some
for sure.
genuine tips from genuine companies who have done it, rather than just, hey, here's
rather than like 5 top tips for working at home, when oh my god, I've seen so many of them, it's driving me slightly insane.
Classic.
Like, everyone jumps on the bandwagon. Oh no, like I mean there is solid advice in there, but it's pretty much the same.
It's all the same
across the board.
And in true Yenna style, I want to ask James some tough questions and find out how he's coding. So yeah, if it'll be live hopefully by the end of the week, if not in the next couple of days. So tune in for that if you're watching when it goes live. Awesome. But yeah, probably the same for me. I don't know whether there's much more I can add to that, and much more I should add to that. I think the only other thing really, and this probably goes for everybody, but it's worth saying, is just making sure that, for me personally, I'm keeping account of physical and mental health. Like right now, definitely got a banging headache, and as I said to you this morning, kind of like felt like I maybe had a sore throat, and yesterday I had definitely a tight chest at some point. And you're like, there's this danger of mass hysteria from like everybody thinking they've got something when actually they may not, and anxiety, and the quite meta problem of thinking you've got anxiety giving you more anxiety, and so on. And just being really aware of that, but at the same time being able to make sure that getting up and walking around, did my standing desk. Hopefully people might have seen that.
Yeah, I did.
Twitter and Instagram.
I enjoyed it.
Which is balanced on a Domino's box.
Nice.
It just gave me that extra inch of height. But yeah, also trying to maybe get out and go for runs, but at the same time do it whilst not being around people. Yeah. And not
it's very easy to get quite obsessive with stuff, I think, especially with like a routine. It's quite easy to get in quite an obsessive like mindset with your routine, because you've got not a lot else to do. So you do have to be careful to kind of get that balance and make sure you're looking after yourself and like checking yourself. But we've been doing our like not Monday meetings, we've been having like daily video calls, which for me personally have been really helpful. It's just like it's not that long, it's like half an hour, maybe an hour of like just check in, what are you working on today, how did yesterday yesterday go, like just that. And
Which is
it's
generally the sort of conversation you can have in the office anyway, but you'll probably spread it out like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You might as well
Yeah,
just do it in an hour and then boom.
exactly. So I've personally found that really, really helpful. Yeah, and from
Yeah.
like a mental health perspective as well.
And
It's
then how
just
are you working now? Are you doing it, are you doing like all the way through? Because you did mention at the start and earlier you were chatting about like working is the thing that like that you fill time with. For me, I'm realizing, because I used to do it this way, and I think I should probably go back to it, rather than just sitting and working from like when we usually work. Was it like 9:30 till, depends on how much work we've got on that day, 4 or 7. Rather than just working straight through, because for me, I will trail off and I'll lose productivity for sure. So for me, I think the best way for me to work, certainly from home and definitely also in the office as well, is like a couple of hours hard and then downtime, and then a couple more hours and then downtime, and then a couple more hours. And it just goes back to like what we were saying last week with the best way to be innovative is actually just to do what companies have been doing for like the last 30 years, which is like 15-minute tea breaks or whatever. But for
mm,
me, it's like, actually, if I do the 5 or 6 hours I would have in the evening completely free, if I spread those out throughout the day and work in 2 or 3 hour sprints, actually I find I get way more work done, and I'm happier, rather than just feeling like by hour 7 or 8 on the sofa,
mhm.
you're just like, oh, I just really don't
Yeah.
want to be doing this
I
anymore.
mean, like, as I've got like a fairly like the routine really helps me, but like I go out for a walk at lunch. Um, I won't just get outside at lunch. I'm quite lucky to have a garden, so like I can
Mm,
step outside for a bit, and I always take lunch away from where I'm like working, so I always sit somewhere else. And I've kind of got myself into a routine of like essentially set times of day to have a cup of tea,
mm.
which forces me to get up, go and make a cup of tea, and then do something else. So that I've found that really helpful. But actually, one of the, probably worth saying, one of like the challenges I think I've faced, or we've faced this past week, and will probably like continue to face over the couple like coming weeks, is more around if we're working at different times and we have no set way of knowing when the other person is working. It's trying to like manage expectations on as a
Who's where
team,
and when? Yeah.
like where and when people are working. Because obviously we both want to offer each other the flexibility, but sometimes need an answer for something, and if I don't
Mm,
know that you're not working, I don't
mm.
want to like hound you when you're taking your hour break or
Yeah,
whatever.
that makes sense. How do
I think
we,
it's a
so
challenge.
like, workshopping it now, how do we figure that out? Because I think if you make it a task to make sure that people know that you're on that downtime, get it, but also that feels like that
It feels
makes it work
micromanaging.
then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who was it I saw? I don't want to call any company out because I can't remember exactly who it was, but there was a big corporate who sent out an email, and it was like, if you're working from home, we need this. You need Slack on at all times. You need to be able to answer an email within 5 minutes. You need to do this. You must answer your phone at all times. And you're just like, wow,
Wow.
I don't want to work for you anymore if I'm that person in that company. And
Mm,
so I think like the best way to do it will be to come up with like soft ways of knowing that. Like, for
mm.
example, if we do have Slack on whenever we're working, then there will be, I think it's on Slack. Yeah, there's a little green dot, right, that says
Yeah.
online. And so if I'm not working, quote unquote, then it's almost like, okay, if I close Slack, then it will be a hollow dot, and that shows
Mm.
you that I'm not
I
on
do feel like it'd be quite a
that
cool
kind of
idea
thing.
if Slack could have like a traffic light system, so it's not as because sometimes it's not as simple as like I'm
Green or
completely
not,
not working
yeah.
right now and I really am working. Like sometimes it's like I'm
You
taking a
do
10-minute,
realize it
I've gone.
probably does, but we just don't
Right.
realize
Well,
that.
if someone's watching this and they know that that exists, then please tell me,
Because I
because
know you've got
I
letters
haven't
and
checked
away.
there.
So we'll do
Probably
that
in
for
the like
now.
paid for version, which we do not have. So
Yeah, true. Oh, that's true. Yeah. To be honest, I don't think many people do have, because Slack share price should be doing well, not doing well.
I didn't know that.
Last
There
time
you
I
go.
checked. Well, it might be up to date, but I was expecting Zoom to be going up, and I
Mm,
was also expecting Slack to be going up. Slack was, last time I checked, which was last week,
interesting.
wasn't going up. I'm assuming they've got a lot more free users. No one's
Yeah.
really paying for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the moment, the best way for us to enact that is that you've got an away status on
Okay.
Slack. So you can leave it open, but if you click away, I've just done it now, I'm a hollow dot as opposed to a blue dot.
Cool. I will check
But
that out.
you're right, maybe it should have a yellow one where
Yeah,
it's like,
because
I'm
sometimes I'm like, I'm just
available,
making a
I'm
cup of
busy.
tea. If you
Yeah,
give me a call right now, I can answer. Like
yeah,
I'm not taking specific downtime. I'm just
yeah,
away from my desk to stretch my legs. And I think that's the difference between like I'm taking a lunch break, I'm switching off for a bit. Like they're two different mindsets.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm just
Maybe there's
not
a
working on
plugin.
time
You know
accident.
what Slack's like? There's probably
There
a ton
probably is.
of plugins. So yeah, if anybody's a Slack pro, send us some tips and put them
Send
in
us some
the comments
tips.
below. But that's me, I think, for the
Yeah,
week. What about you?
I know. I think we did mine first. So
Sweet. I didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to cover,
I did this.
but yeah, I think that's it. So I'm gonna crack on with absolutely no meetings, but trying to raise $4,000 in a week and a half. So yeah, if anybody does want to engage with that, or has any questions about it, check it out. We'll post the crowdfund link in the description of the post. And yeah. In the meantime, I guess, stay safe, stay sound, look after yourselves mentally and physically.
Stay home.
Stay home. Nice. Stay distanced. It's for the betterment of
Please.
everybody. And then we'll catch you all well and good next Monday, hopefully.
Next Monday. I'll be back.
So yeah, thanks for joining us on this virtual Monday meeting, and we'll see you then.
Bye.